Danny Masterson was sentenced to 30 years in prison after being convicted.
The glitzy, glamorous world of Hollywood can sometimes be too dazzling to see the truth behind the facade. Actors often live in a realm where they're celebrated for being everything they're not. But for some, the bright lights of fame dimmed as they traded red carpet walks for prison yard strolls. From Danny Masterson's dramatic fall from 70s show stardom to Joe Exotic's wild legal battles, each story is more shocking than the last. What drives a celebrity at the peak of their fame to risk it all for a life of crime? And how do these downfalls shape our view of the entertainment industry? Join us as we dive into the stories of 25 Hollywood stars who are currently behind bars. Number 25. Danny Masterson, That 70s Show Star's Dark Secret. The fall of Danny Masterson is a dark twist in one of Hollywood's glitzy narratives. The actor best known for his role as Stephen Hyde on That 70s Show was at the height of his fame when he was accused of being a predator. In March 2004, 3 women, their stories hauntingly similar, came forward to allege that Masterson had assaulted them. While the LAPD and the district attorney's office were clearly taking the matter seriously, the case was so high profile that the very act of investigating it cast a long shadow over the still famous actor and his still flourishing career. The allegations against him were too serious to ignore. They resulted in Masterson's arrest. He faced 3 counts of forcible rape, and his insistence on innocence did not, in the eyes of the law, prove him to be so. Hollywood was all abuzz as the trial unfolded. Not 1, but 2 counts. The sentencing brought more drama and surprise. 30 years to life. From sitcom star to a convict, Danny Masterson's fall shocked fans. But he's not alone in his descent from fame to infamy. Let's turn our attention to another beloved figure whose actions stunned the nation. How could someone so admired betray public trust so completely? Keep watching. Number 24. Darren Sharper, NFL player's off-field crimes. Darren Sharper's fall from grace was as swift as his sprints down the football field. For 14 years, he dazzled fans as a safety, his name synonymous with defensive prowess. 5 Pro Bowls, 2 All-Pro selections, and a Super Bowl ring with the Saints, his career seemed destined for the Hall of Fame. But in 2014, the whispers became a roar. 2 women stepped forward and accused him of giving them a substance and assaulting them. One night in West Hollywood, and another in Las Vegas. The truth soon emerged in court, and it was more horrifying than any tackle he'd ever made. Sharper stood accused of raping as many as 16 women across 4 states. In 2016, Sharper pleaded guilty or no contest to the charges and was sentenced to 20 years behind bars. Number 23. Ryan Grantham, child actor turned hitman. The story of Ryan Grantham is an unexpected and unsavory tale from the world of child celebrities. Once a popular actor in wholesome films such as Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Grantham's life took a dark turn that shocked Hollywood and no doubt his own family and friends. At 21, he committed matricide, a crime that, in the eyes of many, conferred a loss of innocence and the kind of dark, unthinkable plot element that makes a person want to put a book down or walk out of a movie theater. Grantham shot his mother in the head as she played the piano in their British Columbia home, and then, armed with several weapons and enough ammo to sustain a minor war, he set out with a plan that could have made him a headline grabber for another reason entirely. The first part of his plan was to end the life of the Prime Minister of Canada, Justin Trudeau. Then he tried to think through the plan and came up with a step that would involve doing same to a lot of people at his former university. Before any of this could happen, this young man, now 23, put down his firearms, walked across a police station, and surrendered. In court, psychiatrists described his mental state. One of the more colorful phrases they used to do this was psychotic spectrum disorder. They also used the phrase depressed and cannabis use disordered. When Grantham pleaded guilty to second-degree murder, the court imposed a sentence that would keep him in prison until at least 2036. Even after the sentencing, the lingering question remained: how did this promising child actor become such a damaged individual? Number 22. Amy Locane, Melrose Place. Actress's fatal mistake. The lights of Hollywood can be intoxicating, but for Amy Locane, they led to a tragic collision with reality. Her journey from the sun-soaked streets of Melrose Place to the cold confines of a prison cell is a cautionary tale of fame's darker side. On a fateful night in June 2010, Locane's world shattered like a champagne flute dropped on a marble floor. Speeding through a 30 miles per hour zone at 53 miles per hour, her car became a deadly weapon. In the blink of an eye, a left-hand turn into a driveway turned into a nightmare. Fred Seaman's wife, Helen, an NYU professor, lost her life in the crash. When the police arrived, the bitter truth emerged. Locane's blood alcohol level was a staggering 0.23, more than triple the legal limit. Justice, however, proved to be a fickle friend. Initially sentenced to just 3 years, Locane's punishment sparked controversy. The judge's decision, citing her children's welfare, seemed a mere slap on the wrist for such a grievous act. But the story wasn't over. An appeals court, viewing the initial sentence as too lenient, reset the clock. 8 years behind bars became Locane's new reality. Number 21. Harvey Weinstein, Hollywood mogul's downfall. Once upon a time in Hollywood, Harvey Weinstein's golden touch turned films like Pulp Fiction and Shakespeare in Love into box office gold and Oscar glory. But beneath the glitz and glamour, a monster lurked. In 2017, the New York Times dropped a bombshell. Over a dozen women stepped forward, their voices united in a chorus of accusations: rape, abuse, and assault. Soon, nearly 100 women, many of them famous faces, added their stories to the growing narrative. The man who once walked red carpets now shuffled into courtrooms. Then in 2018, New York prosecutors threw the book at him, and the charges read like a horror script. The verdict? Guilty. The sentence? 23 years behind bars. But the story didn't end there. Los Angeles had its score to settle, adding another 16 years to his time. Even across the pond, British prosecutors were sharpening their legal knives. Harvey Weinstein's downfall exposed Hollywood's dark underbelly, but the entertainment industry isn't the only realm harboring shocking secrets. Let's shift gears to the world of mixed martial arts, where one fighter's crimes rival any movie villain. Can fame truly shield anyone from justice? Let's find out. Number 20. Joe Sun. From Austin Powers to prison cell. In the late 90s, Joe Sun basked in the spotlight as Random Task in Austin Powers, his villainous grin capturing audiences worldwide. But beneath the surface, a sinister truth lurked, waiting to be uncovered. Fate has a funny way of catching up, and for Sun, it came in the form of a DNA sample. A simple vandalism charge in 2008 led to a routine DNA collection. Little did he know, this would be the key to unlocking a cold case that had haunted investigators for nearly 2 decades. The truth that emerged was chilling. On Christmas Eve in the 90s, Sun and an accomplice abducted a young woman walking her dog, subjecting her to hours of torture and rape. Sun's chilling words to his victim, that she was his Christmas present, sent shivers down spines in the courtroom. Justice, though delayed, was not denied. Sun found himself facing a sentence of 7 years to life for felony rape. As if that wasn't enough, Sun murdered his cellmate just a month into his sentence, adding another 27 years to his time. Number 19. Michael Jace. The Shield actor's shocking crime. Michael Jace, known for his role as Officer Julian Lowe on The Shield, soon eclipsed his on-screen persona in the most horrific way imaginable. On a fateful night in Los Angeles, Jace shot his wife April, a celebrated sprinter, in front of their young sons, saying the words, "If you like running, then run to heaven." Prosecutors described a man who was overwhelmed by jealousy and alcohol, and haunted by fears that his wife was cheating. The same hands that once held fake guns were now holding a real one with deadly purpose. When the jury announced their verdict, guilty of second-degree murder, the sentence, 40 years to life, marked the end of Jace's freedom. In his final statement before the court, Jace expressed his sorrow, but no words could undo the tragedy of that night or heal the pain suffered by his children. Number 18. Jen Shah, Real Housewives' Real Fraud. In March 2021, federal charges of conspiracy to commit money laundering and wire fraud were brought before Jen Shah. Known for her sharp wit on The Real Housewives, Shah's carefully crafted image was about to be shattered. It was later discovered that Shah and her accomplices preyed on the elderly, selling them empty promises of business success. Victims like 75-year-old Tricia from North Carolina saw their life savings vanish into Shah's coffers. Even more tragic was the tale of Ralph Hick, a World War II veteran who lost over $100,000 before taking his own life at 92. As prosecutors peeled back the layers of deceit, a chilling truth emerged. Shah didn't just scam her victims, she reveled in their suffering. Text messages revealed her mocking those she'd fleeced, treating their pain as a punchline in her comedy. Shah's guilty plea to wire fraud earned her 6.5 years behind bars. Number 17. Jared Fogle, Subway spokesman's sinister side. For years, Jared Fogle's face beamed from television screens, his weight loss story inspiring millions. But in 2015, the facade crumbled as FBI agents raided his Indiana home. The world watched in shock as computers and DVDs were carried away, hinting at the darkness within. The investigation revealed that Fogle had been trading in the innocence of children, his text messages exposing a predatory nature that chilled even hardened investigators. His crimes spanned years, from seeking out minors for illicit encounters to possessing child pornography. He was charged with child exploitation and traveling for illicit conduct with a minor, and was sentenced to 15 years and 8 months behind bars. Number 16. Todd and Julie Chrisley, reality TV's tax evaders. The Chrisleys' rise to fame was as swift as their fall was spectacular. Todd and Julie, stars of Chrisley Knows Best, invited viewers into their lavish Southern lifestyle, their brutal honesty and opulent living making for addictive television. But behind the cameras, a web of deceit was slowly unraveling. In 2019, the facade began to crack. Charges of tax evasion, bank fraud, and wire fraud shattered the picture-perfect image they'd cultivated. The couple who seemed to have it all were accused of hiding millions from the IRS and living far beyond their means on borrowed money. As the trial unfolded, a different story emerged. The prosecution painted a picture of a family desperate to maintain their extravagant lifestyle at any cost. With false documents, exaggerated wealth, and hidden income, the Chrisleys' real-life drama put their reality show to shame. The verdict was damning. Guilty on all counts. Todd's sentence of 12 years and Julie's 7 years fell like a final curtain on their televised charade. Now, as they serve their time in separate Florida prisons, the Chrisleys face a reality far removed from their once glamorous life. Number 15. Jerry Harris, Cheer Stars Fall from Grace. Jerry Harris's story reads like a modern Greek tragedy, a meteoric rise followed by a devastating fall. His infectious energy on Netflix's Cheer made him a fan favorite, catapulting him from small-town Texas to the glittering world of Hollywood. Even Ellen DeGeneres took notice, inviting him to be her red carpet correspondent at the Oscars. In September 2020, the facade crumbled, and a federal warrant exposed Harris's alleged solicitation of nude photos from 13-year-old twin boys. As the investigation deepened, the horror multiplied. Harris admitted to exchanging sensitive images with 10 to 15 children. The boy who once inspired millions now stood accused of exploiting the vulnerable. The courtroom drama that unfolded was as gripping as any Netflix series. Harris's guilty plea to charges of child pornography images and illicit conduct with minors echoed through the halls of justice. The sentence, 12 years in a federal facility, fell like a final mat slap on his once promising career. Number 14. Gary Glitter. Glam rockers' repeated offenses. The glittering world of rock and roll had long since dimmed for Gary Glitter, his star tarnished by a trail of sordid allegations. In 2015, justice caught up with the aging rocker. The court's gavel fell like a leaden weight, sentencing him to 16 years behind bars. The charges? A litany of rape that made even hardened courtroom veterans blanch. But fate, it seemed, wasn't done toying with the fallen idol. After serving just half his sentence, Glitter tasted freedom once more. The prison gates creaked open in February 2023, releasing him into a world that had moved on without him. Yet, like a moth drawn to a flame, he couldn't resist the lure of his old ways. Within weeks, he'd violated his parole conditions and will be remanded until 2031. Number 13. Shannon Richardson, actress turned poisoner. You may know Shannon Richardson from popular shows like The Walking Dead and The Vampire Diaries, but in 2013, the nation held its breath as a sinister plot unraveled. Poisoned letters, laced with the deadly ricin, a toxin straight from the pages of Breaking Bad, found their way to the desks of the powerful. Former President Barack Obama and New York Mayor Michael Bloomberg were among the targets of this chilling campaign. As federal agents closed in, a story of betrayal and deceit emerged. Richardson, caught in the throes of a bitter divorce, had attempted to frame her estranged husband for the crimes. But the truth, like a stubborn stain, refused to be washed away. Richardson was later sentenced to 18 years behind bars. Number 12. War Machine, MMA fighter's violent attack. In the sweat-soaked, adrenaline-fueled world of mixed martial arts, War Machine carved out a name for himself with fists of fury and a steely resolve. His career blazed across the octagon from 2004 to 2013, leaving a trail of knocked-out opponents and shattered records in its wake. 14 victories were proof of his prowess, 8 of them achieved through the brutal poetry of knockouts. He was a force to be reckoned with, a gladiator of modern times, his name echoing through the hallowed halls of UFC, Bellator MMA, and beyond. But in 2014, barely a year after his final bout, Las Vegas, the city of lights and broken dreams, became the stage for his most heinous act. He burst into his ex-girlfriend's home, unleashing a torrent of brutality that left her and a friend battered and broken. Kidnapping, rape. The charges piled up like bodies in a ring. When the dust settled, justice was swift and merciless. Guilty on all but 2 counts of attempted murder, War Machine found himself facing a new kind of fight, one against time itself. Life imprisonment, with the faintest glimmer of hope for parole in 2053, became his new reality. Number 11. Kris Wu, K-pop star's rape case. Kris Wu's star shone bright in K-pop and Hollywood. From EXO's stages to movies like XXX Return of Xander Cage, he seemed destined for greatness. But beneath the glamour, darkness grew. In July 2021, a young woman revealed a terrible secret from 2020. She spoke of false promises and lost innocence at 17. More women came forward with similar stories of harassment and predatory behavior. Wu's fall was swift. Arrested, tried, and convicted, he was sentenced to 13 years in prison in November 2022. Now, in his cell, the cheers of fans are replaced by the clang of prison doors, proving that even for the famous, the law will always run its due course. From K-pop sensation to a convict, Chris Wu's fall was swift. But the entertainment industry's dark side isn't limited to music. Let's turn to a shocking case from reality TV. How do these shows hide such sinister secrets? Keep watching. Number 10. Will Hayden, Sons of Guns. Hosts dark reality. Will Hayden's life, once centered on custom firearms, showcased on Discovery Channel's Sons of Guns. His family business seemed to thrive in Louisiana. But in 2014, dark secrets emerged, shattering the illusion of success. Allegations of heinous crimes, spanning decades, surfaced. 2 victims, separated by over 20 years, bravely shared their stories in court. Their testimonies, filled with pain and betrayal, revealed a predator in hiding. The verdict was clear: guilty on all counts. Hayden was sentenced to life in prison for aggravated and forcible rape. Now, Hayden's life behind bars serves as a stark reminder. Beneath the surface of reality TV fame, dark secrets can hide, and no amount of celebrity can protect one from the consequences. Number 9. Skylar Deon, from Power Ranger to murderer. Once a fresh-faced child actor in the beloved Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and born John Julius Jacobson Jr., shedding his name like a snake shedding its skin, reinventing himself as Skylar Deon. But no amount of reinvention could erase the darkness that lurked within. At 20, the Navy discharged him for going AWOL. By 2002, married with 2 children, financial pressures began to squeeze. It was then that Deon and his wife made a fateful decision, stepping onto a path of no return. Their descent into criminality reached its horrifying climax in 2004. A yacht for sale, a couple lured out to sea, a test run that turned deadly. The victims vanished beneath the waves, their bodies never to be found. For years, the perfect crime seemed to have been committed. But secrets have a way of surfacing. An accomplice's confession years later broke the dam of silence, unleashing a flood of justice. In the end, the verdict was as final as the fate Deon had inflicted on his victims. Number 8. Kalan Walker, rapper's predatory behavior. Kalan Walker's rhymes once flowed like honey, his words painting vivid pictures of street life and ambition. At 27, the Los Angeles rapper seemed poised for stardom, his music and acting career on the verge of taking flight. But beneath the surface, a predator lurked, waiting to strike. The courtroom fell silent as the charges were read. Multiple counts of forcible rape, his victims numbering 7, 4 women and 3 teens. The prosecutor's words cut through the air like a knife, branding Walker a predator. One victim, Sydney Stanford, found the courage to speak out, her voice trembling but determined. Her words opened the floodgates, and others stepped forward, their stories weaving a tapestry of pain and betrayal. The defense cried foul, claiming revenge as the motive behind the accusations. But the jury saw through the smoke and mirrors. The verdict came down like a thunderbolt: guilty. Now, as Walker faces between 50 years and life behind bars, his victims find solace in justice served. His lawyer speaks of appeals, but for now, Walker's only audience is the cold, unforgiving walls of his prison cell. Number 7. Drexel, American Ninja Warrior's fall. Drexel once soared through obstacle courses, his athletic prowess captivating millions on American Ninja Warrior. But behind the scenes, a darker story was unfolding, one that would see him tumble from grace into the unforgiving grip of the law. The charges hit like a sucker punch, rape offenses that could lock him away for life. The details emerged, painting a sordid picture of a 26-year-old man preying on a 15-year-old fan. What began as an innocent meeting at an event spiraled into a nightmare at his gym, where innocence was shattered and trust betrayed. As the FBI dug deeper, the charges multiplied. Manufacturing child illicit images, enticing a minor to travel for illicit acts. In a desperate bid to salvage what he could, Drexel struck a plea deal. Guilty, he admitted, to charges that would still see him locked away for years. As Drexel sits in his cell at the Federal Detention Center in Philadelphia, the cheers of the crowd have faded to a distant memory. His story serves as a chilling reminder that sometimes the most dangerous predators hide in plain sight, their public persona masking a sinister reality. Number 6. Zack Avery, actor's $650 million Ponzi scheme. Zack Avery crafted a web of deceit that few could imagine, let alone pull off. In Hollywood, where dreams are harnessed and manipulated, and the right look and smile can take one far, Avery's appearance and genial demeanor should have served him well. But they didn't. Instead, his wall of deceit crumbled, and one of the biggest scams in recent memory was revealed. Avery, whose real name is Zachary Horwitz, allegedly defrauded investors of almost $1 million. He told them he was securing foreign distribution rights to films and promised returns, huge returns, on their investments. Avery lived large. He bought a $5 million house and dropped more than $600,000 on a single credit card bill. All great illusions come to an end, and this one was no different. The FBI lit up the facade of the Hollywood big shot and revealed not a handsome mogul, but a crafty con man. He was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison, working off part of a $230 million fine. Number 5. Joe Exotic, Tiger King's criminal kingdom. In the heart of Oklahoma's untamed wilderness, a man with a mullet as wild as his ambitions carved out an empire of exotic beasts and even wilder dreams. Joe Exotic, born Joseph Allen Maldonado Passage, ruled over his animal kingdom with a flamboyant fist, his larger-than-life persona as captivating as the tigers he bred. From failed political campaigns to a bitter feud with animal rights activist Carol Baskin, Joe's life read like a fever dream of reality TV. Yet it was his alleged plot to silence Baskin permanently that finally caged the tiger tamer. The law pounced, and Joe found himself trapped in a web of his own making. Convicted on 17 counts of animal abuse and 2 counts of murder for hire, he traded his kingdom for a 22-year sentence in federal prison. But even behind bars, Joe Exotic's star refused to dim. A Netflix documentary thrust him into the global spotlight, transforming him into a cultural phenomenon. Number 4. Toby Willis, family band father's horrific secret. The Willis family's harmony, once a sweet melody that captivated America, crumbled into a discordant nightmare. Toby Willis, the patriarch of this musical clan, stood center stage in a drama far removed from the feel-good reality show that had endeared them to millions. Behind the scenes of their TLC series, and beyond the applause of America's Got Talent, a sinister secret festered. And when the curtain fell, it revealed a chilling truth. Toby, at 48, faced charges that made even the most hardened souls recoil. The victims? His own flesh and blood. The crime? A violation so profound it shattered the very foundation of family trust. In a courtroom far from the bright lights of television, Willis's fate was sealed. 4 counts of child rape. 40 years behind bars. The sentence echoed like a final somber note in the family's once joyful song. Number 3. Zara Fithian, Doctor Strange actress's abuse case. Zara Fithian's rise through the world of magic and martial arts has been meteoric. Her trajectory, from dojo to the mystical world of Doctor Strange, seems almost charmed. But what happens when a beautiful illusion meets the hard reality of life? In Fithian's case, it hasn't been a pretty picture. A story unfolded at the Nottingham Crown Court that was more sinister than anything Marvel could dream up. Zara and her husband Victor stood accused of a crime that made stomachs turn and hearts break. The victims? Little ones. And the breach of trust? Unthinkable. As the gavel fell, the verdict echoed like a death knell for her career. 8 years behind bars for Zara, 14 for Victor. The courtroom heard whispers of a 13-year-old girl, trust betrayed, innocence stolen. Another victim, just 15, spoke of abuse that scarred her soul. Their courage in facing their abusers became the true feat of strength in this sordid saga. Zara Fithian's story shook Hollywood, but the music industry has its own share of fallen icons. Let's explore how one rap mogul's empire crumbled. Can power corrupt even the most successful? Let's find out. Number 2. Suge Knight. Hip-hop mogul's fatal hit and run. Suge Knight cast a long shadow over the hard streets of Los Angeles in the 1990s. This huge man with a hard look had built a true empire on a foundation of hip-hop beats and rhythms. Knight's very own Death Row Records was the main vehicle through which West Coast rap pumped out era-defining hits. But as Death Row's fortunes blossomed, Knight's growing reputation for intimidation started to overshadow his record label's success. Within the whispers of the music industry, both genders of admiration and fear were attached to the way Suge's name rolled off the tongue. Then, on a fateful day in 2015, the carefully constructed facade crumbled. The set of Straight Outta Compton became a crime scene, with Suge at its center. A pickup truck, a violent confrontation, and suddenly, a life was snuffed out. The law, long nipping at his heels, finally sank its teeth in. Murder charges loomed, threatening to silence the music mogul for good. In a twist worthy of the dramas he helped soundtrack, Suge pleaded no contest to voluntary manslaughter with 28 years sentence behind bars. Number 1. Timothy Ziku, Ice Road Trucker's bizarre kidnapping. In the frozen wastes of reality TV, where ice truckers reigned supreme, Timothy Ziku's tale took a turn so bizarre it left viewers and law enforcement alike slack-jawed. This man of the frozen roads, accustomed to battling treacherous terrain, found himself ensnared in a web of his own foolish making. It began with a woman called Snow White, a Las Vegas working girl whose fairy tale took a dark twist. Ziku, convinced she'd overcharged him, hatched a plan that would make even the most amateur of criminals cringe. He lured her, assaulted her, and locked her away, demanding restitution for his imagined slight. But Snow White, proving wilier than her captor, spun a trap of her own. With quick thinking that would put seasoned detectives to shame, she handed Ziku a number, not of a friend, but of a Vegas cop. The trucker, blind to the irony, dialed his own downfall. As Ziku unknowingly confessed his crimes to law enforcement, the stage was set for a sting operation worthy of prime time. The tough-talking Ice Road veteran walked right into the arms of waiting officers, his bravado melting faster than spring ice. The final act saw Ziku trade his truck for a prison cell, sentenced to 5 to 15 years for his ill-conceived caper. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, leave nice comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more interesting content. Check out another interesting video by clicking on the video appearing on your screen right now.